So, it's been a good week so far. My Facebook page just hit, I think, like 115 likes, which, I mean, isn't a lot, but it feels great because about 72 of those were in the past 3 days. And I've been getting a lot of good feedback, and I've also have been getting some love for the page. Shout out to you, Kale Cap, if that's how you pronounce your name. So I was talking to a friend the other day, and we were talking about, future success, plans, stuff like that. And I quickly come to find out that this guy has no goals whatsoever. So there's problem number one. You must know what you want if you want to get anywhere. And he didn't really want to get out of his situation. It was kind of like down is where you can't fall. You can't fall if you're already on the ground. When people stay in a depression, it's because, it can't put you under if you're all the way under. And then he also was like, I'm a one job type of guy, which don't ever put all your eggs in one basket. It's a terrible thing to do. It's very risky, which I mean, all life is risky, but it's one of the riskiest things to do is put all the eggs in one basket, because then you lose everything. And so this has to do with people staying down, just unmotivated, which we're going to go over that a little bit in this. This video is going to be a really big lesson, so I'm probably going to split this up into two different parts. But we're going to go over why people stay in this rut and just choose not to do anything. I mean, we all know those people where no matter what you could do to help them, they just don't want to be helped. And this is going to go over why people just like living in the same circumstances that they do. They have no problem with it. At least they think they have no problem with it. So let's get into this thing. Now, I don't know all the answers. I mean, nobody really knows all the answers. But this is the one thing that I haven't figured out, why people just don't want to succeed. There's just some people that don't want to move on in life. That's literally what he said. He said that he didn't care about succeeding further than where he's at. And so I haven't been able to figure it out. I haven't figured out why people just don't want to grow. But I have a few ideas. And I've got 4 of them. Number 1 being a subconscious core belief, as we've talked about before, the hindering of thoughts, keeping us from growing. The second one is depression, which when you're depressed, you usually don't want to do anything. And then number 3, a lack of motivation, which is also a stem off of depression. And I don't like the word lack of motivation because I don't believe in a lack of motivation. And that's going to be a big part of this video. And then the 4th part is conformity of those around them, just staying put and the same as those around them. Like I said in the previous or the second video from now, I talked about people conforming to those around them. Birds of a feather flock together. And so these are the 4 reasons I think why people stay down. So let's go over these. The first one I talked about was subconscious core beliefs. Things like when people tell you you're going to be a cook for the rest of your life because of this decision you made. And even though you don't consciously agree with it, you're like, oh no, I'll do something. Your subconscious thinks another and is controlling it behind the scenes and is keeping you where you're at. Other people will tell you you won't succeed or you didn't graduate. All this and that. Graduation is not required to become successful. That is a subconscious core beliefs in the lives of many Americans. That you've got to go to college, you got to finish school, even if you haven't finished high school, so what? It doesn't matter. It's not holding you back. Only the thought of it's holding you back. And so what can keep us from wanting to succeed is this little thing that's in the back of our subconscious, and you don't know about it. You can't say, oh, well, I don't have that, because we all have it. I have subconscious core beliefs. You have subconscious core beliefs. It's called the paradigm. I went over this a little bit. I'll eventually make a whole video on it. It's hard for me to put it into words. I have a hard time talking about the paradigm because some people will disagree with the things that I have to say about it, but nobody's going to really agree or disagree completely on everything. It's just never going to happen that way. We all have an individual perspective, and that's what we're here to listen to, and to listen to other people whenever we read anything, whenever we want to learn anything. We want to see their perspective and then add it to our own. We're wanting to accumulate some sort of knowledge to where we have a better view of things. If you're confused about life, you know, it doesn't feel good. And there's a big thing that really causes a subconscious core belief of not wanting to be successful, or you're not going to be successful type of belief. And this is the main point of conspiracy theories. Now, even if there's proof showing that Bush did 9/11, or Bush is a reptilian, or whatever conspiracy theory there is, even though you may think, you know how woke you are to, oh, this is what's really going on, your life really doesn't change. It really adds a lot of fear to your life, honestly. And you know what else it adds? It adds the underlying, hidden, subconscious core belief that you're a sheep and that everything's controlled and that there's no way, because it's all a big club and you're not a part of it. And when you watch conspiracy theories, you're like, oh, we're all controlled, we're all being controlled, but since I know about it, I'm woke. I'm completely dodging the system. I'm not even in the system anymore because I know about it. Just because you know about it doesn't mean that you're out of the system. And if you're a conspiracy theory, you probably aren't opening your bank account and looking at the 20 grand that you have in there, because it literally is all about the government controlling you, or this is what's going on, everything's a setup and everything's this. I'm not saying anything did or didn't happen. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with the conspiracy theories. All I'm saying is that if you want to move on, succeed, you really want to get out of them. It'll really change your life because it's really putting fear into you. And you might be like, well, I'm not scared, I'm not afraid. That's your conscious mind talking. You can't let your subconscious mind talk for you. It takes everything, whether it's wrong or right. Like I said, you can fool it. So whatever you're putting into it is going into it. And if all you're putting in there is, we're all just the 99% sheep while the 1% is controlling the world, your subconscious is like, well, I'm a sheep. No point now. Let me just go to my normal job, come home, and watch 5 hours of conspiracy theories a night. And so what those do are they're just holding you down. They change you inside. And remember, changing your inside creates your reality, and is created from the subconscious beliefs. And the subconscious belief that comes with conspiracy theories is that you're a sheep who can't do anything but be awoke, or awaken, or enlightened. And now we're going to go over the second and third sort of reason to why I think people just stay down and just don't look to grow. And the second one being depression. Depression, number one, will cause a lack of motivation, so they do both go hand in hand. Depression will also cause you to have a lack of positive thoughts and a complete overflow of negative thoughts, added to all the other normal negative thoughts that most people have constantly running through their heads. And so this is crucial for motivating oneself and seeing the bigger picture of things, because when you're depressed, you're not seeing the bigger picture, or if you are, it's an illusion. And so when you have a lack of positive thoughts, like I said in the exercise of filtering the negative and the positive, you've got no positive coming in. And so that's just going to create a sadder reality. And maybe you did have a really good reason to fall into a depression. It happens to everybody, but being in depression will actually cause your reality to just get shittier and shittier. And anyone that's been in depression has noticed this until they got out of it, and they're like, wow, I'm out of it. And like I said about a lack of motivation coming from being depressed, if you aren't depressed and you have a quote-unquote lack of motivation, Well, first, actually, let's go over the definition of motivation. The definition of motivation is the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. And this is why I don't believe in a lack of motivation. I think everybody has motivation in them. I think that it splits two ways. There's 2 cups of water. They can either be half and half, or 60-40, or 90 and 10%, full, one or the other. And you don't want all the water in the wrong cup. And so motivation goes 2 ways, in my opinion, because you can see a fit and healthy person that motivates you to work out and eat good and make good decisions about being healthy, while on the other hand, you can see a commercial for the McRib, in which then motivates you to go eat until your pants rip off. Everybody's motivated. Everybody has a motivation to do something. Every action comes from a motive, and motive is a part of the word motivation. Everybody's motivated. You're just motivated towards something that's not as good as you could find in something else. So I don't really believe in anybody having a lack of motivation. They just have a motivation to not do anything, or they have a motivation to waste their time in ways that because some people will actually admit, like, oh, I'm just wasting my time, but then they'll do it. They consciously know that they're wasting time, but they're stuck in the subconscious habit that keeps them in the loop. This is why you need to filter the thoughts and let your subconscious work for you rather than against you. It does not know true from false, so whatever you put into it will come right back out in wonderful abundance. And so someone who doesn't strive to succeed doesn't mean that they aren't motivated. It just means that really they're just motivated to do that which is holding them back. Kind of like smoking a cigarette. You consciously know that it's bad for you, but you still do it. There's the remember, the subconscious holds all the habits. And so motivation, as I said, goes 2 ways. There's no lack. There's just more in one cup than the other cup. The bad cup rather than the good cup. You could be motivated to bring your new neighbors a basket of muffins, or you could be motivated to go over and kill the neighbor. When your husband or wife cheats on you or does you wrong, you can seriously bet their ass they were pretty motivated to do it. So, why don't people motivate themselves for growth, success, fulfillment, happiness, you name it? Why do some of us just settle for the least amount of survival that we can get, just scraping by? Because as I said, it's really easy to scrape by, but it's really hard. Working 40 hours a week to make a living is hard. You really want to be making money in your sleep, which I'm eventually going to teach, but we need to go over the fundamentals, because even though a lot of people think that what I'm talking about is really cheesy, it's very important, because you can lose everything if you don't have the fundamentals. Because the thing between wealth and poverty is that it's not an income. It's not money. It's not material. It's a mindset. It's a mindset. And you really need to get that into your head, because poor people have poor habits, while wealthy people have wealthy habits. And all the things that I'm teaching are things that the wealthy know, and they all take control of their mind. Let me tell you that. Their mind is very important to them. They think. This is why Napoleon Hill wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. So this is why we get the fundamentals down. The mindset of the wealthy, and we drop off the mindset of the poor, the victim mindset, well, it's not my fault, it's the government's fault, it's this fault, and blaming everything on everybody else. If you want to become a millionaire, you need to start taking responsibility for your actions, number one. Each and every one, even the bad ones, because once you start taking responsibility and you have just that bad feeling in you, your subconscious makes the connotation or the connection or whatever the word for it is with that feeling, and you taking responsibility for the thing you screwed up on. And you'll start to get better, because it's like learning to ride a bike. You're going to fall off the first few times. A lot of people fall off and never get back on the bike. And that's the problem. They're like, well, what's the point? This video is getting kind of long, so this is where I'm going to split it down the middle. And we'll come back in the next video and finish the rest of this. I wish you all to prosper and have a great day. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.